What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Samson, and in today's video we are going to be installing NACA ducts on my Maxima. Now, as you guys may know, my Nissan Maxima is getting a full Brian Crowell stroker kit done to it. I'm waiting for the parts so I can get started on the engine build, which I am going to be bringing to the channel. And I do have a welding hat on. I was doing a little bit of welding earlier, so that's why I know I look probably a little bit ridiculous right now, but I didn't even think about making this video until I had already installed the first NACA duct. And so I said, okay, many people might want to end up doing this to their car. And so I said, let me try to make a video on it. So I'm gonna go over the whole background process on how I measured everything out, but I'm also gonna go over the whole installation of the second NACA duct, because it's the same as the first one. That way you guys can see and possibly install your own at home if you want to. But just like that, let's get into the video. All right, guys, now the biggest thing that you're gonna need when trying to do this project is a Dremel tool. I did have a regular actual Dremel that I got from Lowe's, but it gave out on me a long time ago. So I ended up buying this Bauer one from Harbor Freight. It's been working real good. The only complaint that I have about it is that it does get hot real quick, and so the battery does go down fairly quickly, so you have to stop and recharge it. However, as far as actually installing the actual NACA ducts, what I decided to do was I measured where I wanted each of them to be. Now it's going to look a little weird right now because I have tape on this side and I have this one almost fully installed. I still have to actually glue it down so that way it's actually attached to the hood. But basically what I did was I got them measured out about where I wanted them on each side. I did want them to have a little bit of a turn in to them, just a little bit like I've seen on some of the Nissan GTRs. And so what I did was I also measured the distance from here to here, from this edge up, and from the front down to the front of the hood. And I did that for both of them just to make sure that they were the exact same as far as distance goes. That way that the measurements look good. And then I went on ahead, I got some masking tape and I taped around the edges of the actual NACA duct. And now there are many ways that you can measure these out. I decided that I was going to measure it out this way just because it was a little bit simpler for me, instead of actually going in trying to cut out like some cardboard or some paper or doing some complex math or something like that to try to measure it out. But continuing along with the project, after you mask everything off, so your tape, I know it's hard to see on here, but the edge of your tape is actually going to be on the edge of your NACA duct itself. After you mask everything off, you get that tape up there, you're going to go in, and the reason that this works so well is because the tape is actually contoured to the actual lines. So then you're going to go in, you're going to wiggle it a little bit to loosen it up from the tape that's holding it down, and then you're going to pull your NACA duct out, set it off to the side, and then the edge of your tape is going to be raised up a little bit. And what you're going to want to do is actually lay that tape down. Now, the edge of the tape after you lay it down is going to be the actual edge of your NACA duct, which means that you should be able to cut along this edge, and then your duct should slide right down into the hole that you just made. You guys can see I have started cutting here a little bit. Like I said, I decided to make this video a little bit last minute, but I will show you guys the process because like I said, it's fairly simple as far as actually just cutting the line. Now, the bad thing about installing these is that it can be a little bit cumbersome. I also have an angle grinder out here with a little grinding wheel. That way it helps me sort of grind these edges out a little bit whenever I do actually get it cut out. This is just a rough sort of sketch, if you will, as far as how it should be. But, you know, whenever you actually go in and try to put it, there are going to be some edges that are just a little bit too tight. And you always want things to be a little bit too tight because you can't add material, but you can always remove it away. So like they always say, measure twice, maybe 3 times, cut once. As far as stuff like this, you do want to cut as many times as you need to. That way that you don't remove too much material. But as far as, you know, getting started, how about we go ahead and see if we can get this hole cut out and let you guys see the process. Now, one issue, it might be a little bit hard to show you guys, but when it comes to the hood, most hoods are going to have a little bit of a rigidity factor to them. This one right here, you can see when you cut off this top portion, you do have the structure, almost like a little frame rail through the actual hood itself in order to help keep it stabilized and keep it rigid. And so you are going to have to go in and cut through this part as well. Now, I'm not going to use the actual Dremel tool for that. I am going to use this angle grinder. I have a disc here that'll cut through that part a whole lot quicker. You guys can see it's already used a little bit. I just got these and I used it for this section over here. But just like that, let me go ahead and get this thing attached, and I will show you guys how to cut the bottom section out. The rest of this stuff is kind of tedious. So I probably won't show a whole lot as far as whenever I get this section cut out and actually going in and sort of sculpting it to the actual shape of the NACA duct. But this portion right here shouldn't be too bad. After you finish, you'll see you'll be left with something similar to this. And let me get this little piece right here out of the way. You'll be left with something similar to this. And then it's just a matter of going in, trimming off these sides, grinding them down as you need to in order to actually fit this NACA duct in here. As you guys can see from the bottom, it'll look similar to that, and I'll be able to run that fresh air either to my air box that'll be right here in this area, or I may run it to some of the coolant lines, intake manifold, try to let some of that outside ambient air get in here, freshen this thing up a little bit. But just like that, guys, that's how you would install NACA ducts on your actual car. And coming up on it, that looks absolutely sick. As you guys can see, that they are pretty symmetrical. Actually, I did a pretty good job measuring them. They look they look very sport car-y, very nice. Now when I get all the aero bits and everything back on the car, and of course the actual motor in it, it's gonna look even cleaner. But just like that, I hope you guys enjoyed. The gnats are crazy out here outside, but then again, do stay in the country, so sort of gotta expect it. But I hope you guys enjoyed. That is how you install NACA ducts on your hood. If you want to do that instead of actually buying a whole new hood, I was able to purchase these NACA ducts for about 50 bucks. And then of course, you know, you got to have the actual wherewithal to go in, cut your hood up a little bit and just hope for the best. But you can always do your due diligence to make sure that it turns out as best as it can. But just like that, guys, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know any other projects you guys would like to see on the channel, as well as any other cars you guys would like me to review. But just like that, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.